Hello and welcome to Culture Corner. If you're a cultural enthusiast, a youth leader, community leader, or you are interested in the preservation of our Jamaican culture, you are in the right place. Culture Corner is brought to you on first Thursdays in partnership with the Jamaica Cultural Development Commission. And I am your host, producer for these segments, Winsome Sharia Witter. And we are going to be having a really engaging discussion on Culture Corner this evening. And joining me in this space is our very own Dainalyn Swaby, Miss St. Elizabeth 2017 and Miss Jamaica Festival Queen 2017, Chevening Scholar, and so many other hats. But to get things started off, Dainalyn, let me just welcome you to Culture Corner.
Thank you so much, Vince. I'm happy to be here.
All right. And already we have Sir Pusey joining us from the United States. Welcome, Sir Pusey. Always great to have you. All right. Thank you so much. All right. So let's get to know Dainalyn a little bit by sharing a bit about your journey. Festival Queen 2017 to Chevening Scholar. Spent a little while off the island and then you came back home. Take us through that journey so we can get to know you a little more.
All right, so thanks for that. And I mean, you referencing Festival Queen, then it means I had to go beyond that to the fact that I am from Black River, St. Elizabeth, proud country girl.
That's right.
So anybody who knows me knows that I'm going to champion Black River. So big up anybody from Black River or St. Elizabeth if you are watching online. And so rural women rock. So I'm always happy to champion that. And that was part of the inspiration and motivation for joining Festival Queen. You know how it is in Jamaica. When you have some aspect of your identity that defines you, for me, it's about representation, very talkative, culturally aware, and I want to actually credit that to the fact that I never had cable growing up. So I had to watch all the local programming. And I loved consuming TV. So watching all the local programs, watching news, watching cricket, watching sports and everything. I think I had a really rounded view of the Jamaican cultural landscape at the time. And so people always felt like, the Festival Queen competition would be something that I would do well in. So from high school growing up, I've always been encouraged to enter. And the bug never really bit me until I had a couple of friends who had entered for their respective parishes, including mine. And so I felt like, I could probably do this. It should be my time. And I remember in 2016, two of my colleagues from UA would have entered. One case will be from Trelawney, and Kaisha Randall, who is from Montego Bay, St. James, who actually was the reigning queen. And when I was congratulating them both on their journey, they were like, listen, next year we're not asking a question. Next year you need to. And I contemplated it, and I was telling some of my friends, including one of my friends, closest friends, Shanique Williams. She would have entered for St. Elizabeth, I think in 2015. And I was like, you know what? I think I'm gonna give it a shot next year. I don't know how it's gonna go with me living in Kingston, but being from St. Elizabeth. And that for me, I wanted to push that aspect of representation because you always get the teasing, can you come from country? And I'm like, listen, but I am up to par with anybody else from any other place in Jamaica. I have what it takes, and I think I will be the hope for St. Elizabeth. We've never won before. In the history of the competition, St. Elizabeth has never had a queen that won. I think we had a queen who served as the reigning queen. She would have placed second, but by default, I think the winner at one particular year had forfeited. And I said, listen, I'm going to be the hope. And I'm happy that the confidence and the determination manifested in the goal and the vision that I had for myself and had for my parish. Because at some point in the competition, I wasn't even fixated on winning. It was just about representation and wanting to put St. Elizabeth on the map and restore hope for my historic parish. And I'm just really grateful that I really made full use of that opportunity. And it just rolled into one. I had that vision for me saying, I'm going to enter Festival Queen. And, I also had my eye on the Chevening Scholarship because of what it represented for a young person who wanted to make some contribution to national development. The scholarship was not one that emphasized you like, oh, you had to be ultra smart and top grades. Of course, there are certain requirements. So, being involved in community, having a strong network, having a clear vision as to what you want to study and how you want to implement that coming home, which I just kind of gave a summary of what the Chevening essays ask you to convince them for selection. And so I was fortunate to be selected, I think one of 19 Jamaicans from a pool of 200 applications at the time. And also from a pool of, I think, was it 5,000 or maybe 7,000 applicants globally. So it was really a privilege as well that I got the opportunity to study. And I also decided that, listen, after taking student loan the first for my undergrad, I'm not pay for no more school when there's so many opportunities abroad or otherwise that I see other people taking advantage of. So I said, might as well do the same if I know I have what it takes and I have the potential to do so.
Amazing. Oh, and Sir Pusey saying congratulations. And let me apologize to those who would have wanted to join us on Instagram. Had a bit of technical difficulties and lost the feed there. But you can let those on Instagram know that we are over on YouTube. And for those on X, can join us there. All right. So Chevening and then back home to Jamaica. But being there, you weren't the only Jamaican there in that particular batch of scholars at the time, correct?
No, because Chevening is a global scholarship. So
Right.
we have Caribbean Cheveners. So it was So in my year 2019, I was there with 18 other Jamaican scholars. So and that I think maybe would have helped for us to feel, to keep the community together, to feel like you're together on your journey. But for me, I would have been the only Jamaican at my school. So I attended Loughborough University, London. Loughborough is actually the top university for sports. The main campus. So they have a Midlands campus. The main campus, everybody in the UK knows that Loughborough is number one for sports. But also, based on my research, it's also fourth at the time for media and communication. So I have a comms background. I studied global communication and development, and I was the only Jamaican at school, or so I thought, up until I actually had connected with two other students, one UK born but of Jamaican heritage, and the other who came over from the US, who also, living in the US, but they were of Jamaican heritage. So at least, there were three Jamaicans in the entire school for that year. And so it was really a colorful experience, starting in 2019. And if everybody remembers what happened in 2020.
Yes.
So yeah, man, that panoramic, kind of disrupted some aspects of my study, of our study, if I also reference the Chevening scholars. But there were some pretty good highlights and memorable experiences, both good and bad, but memorable nonetheless. So it was really great.
All right. So let's dive into some of those experiences. Sharing with us the most significant cultural challenge that you faced living abroad for that year.
I'm trying to process that. I don't know if there was something that really like sat on me or weighed on me, because it was interesting, obviously being away from home. And so I had to adjust in the UK life, but I was surrounded by a strong Jamaican community through friends of friends and family. So and I think maybe I don't know if I'm preempting some aspects of what you may ask me, but having that support and this culture of visiting and having gatherings at home and in communal spaces, I think that was something, I think that's a carryover from what we're used to back home, celebration of holidays. So there was always a feeling of home, even though it was in a different place. Interestingly though, if now I think about it in terms of interaction, you grew up in a Jamaica, you say morning, especially as a country pitney, you don't pass people on the street, you don't go to the bus stop without saying good morning, and the bright good morning, and they have to hear The
That's
weirdest.
right, because you learned that manners carry you abroad, right?
Yes, so the double standard for me, the UK, was that whilst I was impressed in some regard by the politeness and the order that was there, it was interesting that sometimes I'm at the bus stop and I say good morning and people don't answer. And I'm like, I hear them not hear me and I know I'm loud. And interestingly, the same people who I would sometimes see at the bus stop, good morning, nobody not answering. I would maybe see them at school or some other establishment that I maybe, and if they pass you 10 times, good morning, miss, you all right? I'm like, wait, didn't I just not see you at the bus stop? So I think, certain mannerisms and
Yeah.
engagement, I had to adjust myself to that. And I think too, people challenge the idea and expectation of you. So whilst you had people who were impressed and people who would have, commended or encouraged you for being a Jamaican studying abroad, you had some persons who their curiosity was almost borderline offensive, to say, how did you get here? I remember this Asian gentleman on a bus ride home. He was very intrigued and like I said, he inched over in an uncomfortable way to say, are your parents in politics? No. um are they business people? Well, I don't understand. It's very difficult for Jamaicans to be in the UK. And I'm like, what? Sir, we built this. You understand? If you know anything about UK history and colonial history, you'd know that we were one of the colonies that contributed to certainly the development of London, if not the entire UK. And I got that energy sometimes in certain interactions. Some people are surprised because they have one idea of a Jamaican or an immigrant or certain communities. They think about a lot of us only in elementary roles and positions. And so I'm like, have they been living under a rock? So I think for me, that was kind of a challenge. There was this kind of invisibility. I remember working in a COVID contact center, and when everybody was sharing the roles, their life outside of what they're coming to do on a volunteer level. And when I said, oh, I'm a master's student, and like nobody responded or said, really? Like, impressive. Like they're just like trying not to hear. And if it wasn't for another Black British person coming over to me and asking about my scholarship experience and commending me for, being a Black person studying in the UK, I was like, oh, I thought people didn't hear. So maybe that's not I'm not broad brushing to say that's the collective personality or persona of people in the UK, but certainly that was my experience, and it was repeated in some sections. If I stepped into a store and I was like, hi, I'm looking for a particular dress or something, sometimes people were like startled because I'm like, is it that they don't expect some Black people to speak with the kind of confidence and commanding presence? So sometimes I got that reaction. And even when you mention about challenge, now that I'm talking and it's flowing, it's coming back to me when
Yeah.
I was trying to seek a job. So as soon as school had ended, and all of the telling that when you finish going back at your yard weren't quite ready. And so I wanted a bit of the professional experience of working in the UK, because the school environment, whet my appetite, and because of some of the things that I was exposed to, the kind of digital transformation that they were already a part of and pushing, I felt like with a master's in development communications or global communication and development, and the kind of exposure to the British work environment and culture, there's going to be so much to glean and to learn from this. So I sent out, I applied to places, professional places, supermarket, beauty store, all kind of place. And I mean, you're just getting rejected, and you started to question yourself and your competence until another Caribbean scholar, a scholar from Haiti, big up Daphne and Pierre, anywhere you are in the world. And she actually shared a report in the Caribbean Chevening's WhatsApp group, a scholarly finding to say that, you're so, meaning like providing empirical evidence that sometimes you're discriminated against where you're from, you're in a professional way. Because when you're applying for a job in the UK, it's not like in Jamaica. There is this, the profile that you have to tick if you're is what them put on it, but
Oh,
probably
your race. Okay.
yes, if you're Black British, Black Caribbean, Black African, Asian, Middle Eastern, and the list goes on, you identify. And so, reading the report that she had sent, and seeing that it was established in a scholarly community that, sometimes you might be discriminated against because of your race or your experience and so forth. So maybe you may have 10 years communication experience in a high impact project like myself somewhere in the Caribbean, even if it was an international development organization. But hey, it's not in the UK. So maybe your resume is not filtered at the top, or they can relate to somebody else, or for whatever reason, So those are the speculations that I've come away with because of my experience. Because I say, oh, me apply for pack bag in a supermarket and can't get it. Me apply to Amazon warehouse. and passed over, and so I don't know, maybe it was a mark of I wasn't networking enough, or not taking advantage of the London Enterprise Network, which was an entrepreneurial hub that was offered at my school, but I wasn't pursuing entrepreneurship, so I had no reason. So coming away, so for me, like I was saying, the cultural expectations and identity, so there's an identity challenge that I grappled with. So for me, that would have been the biggest challenge.
Amazing. Would you say that your role as Miss Jamaica Festival Queen influenced your sense of cultural identity while you were there?
In a way, because even, through that competition, whether locally or internationally, you are positioned as a cultural ambassador. So while it does not have like a culmination into a global competition like Miss World or Miss Universe, certainly that's something that's ingrained with the Miss Jamaica Festival Queen competition, born out of the post-independence era to celebrate the modern Jamaican woman, a woman that's culturally aware, active in her community, and so forth. And so there was very strong alignment with what I represented as a Chevening Scholar, and even my other scholars. You had persons who the same kind of community involvement and cultural awareness that transcended. And so while it wasn't like a pressure to say, oh, you're Festival Queen, dominate, but there were certain natural opportunities that flowed. So I even think about the Global Jamaica Diaspora Council, the UK-based council, that they actually had contributed to the Miss Jamaica Festival Queen competition. At the time, they had partially sponsored my Festival Queen project, which was an entrepreneurial project that I had implemented across 5 parishes in Jamaica, Learn, Earn, Return. So it was providing business training to young people. So around 40 youth approximately, came through that program. So coming into the UK, they welcomed me. They opened up a space. And so I remember being at the event, sharing about my program. And, I'm not sure if that was the event that I did a cultural performance, but performing pieces or aspects of Jamaican culture outside of Jamaica hits differently. So while you can be engaging in a room and it's still well received locally, there is a different kind of freshness about a Miss Lou poem, about reading something else, about sharing a Jamaican experience, about a bus ride to Loughborough, which was my main campus, and telling my German, Colombian, and Asian colleagues about the town of Black River, St. Elizabeth. It comes off differently. So I realized that even in class, I informally was Miss and in Jamaica, because whenever we're studying anything, I had to find a Jamaican experience. I normally contribute to conversations through the lens of a personal experience. So if me and you hold a reasoning win some, and you speak about an issue, I'm going to talk about my aunt, my dad, my mom, my uncle, my spouse, or somebody, a point of
That's
reference.
right.
So in class, it was always about the Jamaican example. And I studied the global communication and development. So a lot of times we looked at communication, we looked at media, community-based media or the like. There was a particular time we were studying decolonization, and I felt compelled to read a poem. Was it Lorna Goodison? I don't want to misquote, but I remember Colonial Girls School, having gone to a Colonial Girls School, Hampton School in St. Elizabeth at the time, or could relate to that poem. Borrowed images, wilder skins pale, and I had to present it to the class. And so there were times when, without needing to put my hand up, I started becoming prompted. I was prompted to sometimes share examples, from Jamaica. and how I would light up when we, the teachers spoke so strongly and proudly about a Walter Rodney, about, can't be studying cultural theory. I remember one day, and I was so embarrassed, when one of the lecturers said, we were looking at encoding and decoding. I don't remember half of some of these the theoretical things, but I remember this, and the teacher said, she was giving us the assignment, and she was kind of like warning us to say, you absolutely cannot turn in an essay about this particular subject without quoting Stuart Hall. When we go to Stuart Hall, where Stuart Hall come from? Jamaica. One of the top cultural theorists and scholars in the UK, and Stuart Hall was Jamaican. So even for me, me have to say, and in Jamaica, and to share some of that. So that's a little bit about the school experience, and had the opportunity to participate in, not a lot, but even had the opportunity to participate in certain forums and exchanges, whether virtual or otherwise, and always seeking to share and provide knowledge about the Jamaican cultural experience, or my perspective through the lens of Jamaica. So I do think I was able to, in a way, milk the opportunity of being a cultural ambassador while being away.
Just by the way you shared just now, you were full-bred cultural ambassador throughout the program. And the Fusey is acknowledging that in the comments here. But while you were there, though, off campus, did you have the opportunity to engage with Jamaicans living there in the diaspora?
Yes, absolutely. And like I said, referring back to the global Jamaica Diaspora Council, and they had a youth arm. And so, they had some online conferences. I had an opportunity to participate. We were in WhatsApp groups. And still to this day, I may have jumped out of a couple, but some of, I do know that they're still active as a group. And so we had the opportunity to have meetings, to have exchanges, and in a more relaxed setting. The UK for me was one of the countries where I least had family, like blood relatives there. And but trust me, I never felt left behind. I always felt at home. So when I even think about my landlord / little sister / mom, she UK born but Jamaican heritage. So in my house, so there was rice and peas and some other meat. So the Jamaican food was still present. The Jamaican pot or the Jamaican language. And even though I had housemates, there was an exchange. One of my housemates from Benin and Togo, let's say that. She was like, I'll teach you French and you teach me Jamaican patois.
Right.
Of course, I fell out the French wagon, but she was very excited to be learning some of the words. So I always took the opportunity to engage. Going back to the communal experience of visiting a family, so house parties. I want to big up Auntie Carlene. So my cousins introduced me to her cousins, and trust me, I just never left the house until COVID happened and kind of disrupted that. But for Christmas, I had a good blend of the UK food versus the Jamaican food, going to several UK based homes that were still connected to Jamaica. And so of course the fruitcake have to eat, the sorrel have to drink, and all the other niceties, the delicacies that we enjoy as Jamaicans. And so there was a little bit of UK culture sprinkled in that. So you're not supposed to come at people yard empty-handed. So while me I come eat some food, is that me have to come with a bottle of wine.
Bring a bottle of something.
You leave with a little gift, like, oh, I was meeting somebody for the first time on Christmas Day. They invited me for dinner, and here I'm leaving with a lovely necklace, my name, gift wrapped on the tree. Wow. So I love those occasions, just visiting homes, having that sort of energy. And in a Jamaica, when you have the little baby birthday party, and like in the night you turn a big people party.
Oh, yeah.
I also experienced that in the UK. And finding a church to belong. I wasn't a consistent church goer while there, but I think that was part of the culture. Some of my friends insisting that we find a church to go and worship. I had one of my aunties devout, Jehovah Witness, and having her church group over for Bible study, have gone to Bible study, all your work whole day. So it was very interesting to see some of the cultural dynamic that
Cultural, yes.
home still filtering through in a very different place. And I even had the opportunity to look at that through scholarly lens, to see how place-based attachments and the difference between a place-based attachment and the cultural sentiments and how that can travel. So with the migration of Jamaican immigrant communities in the 1950s, or even from Windrush time in 1948 till now, you see the migration of culture and how it has occupied space and place in a different country. So that was really beautiful to see that unfold.
So amazing. But
Yeah.
it seemed like you never had much time away from the Jamaicans in the UK. Did you spend
Um,
much time on your own?
a little bit of both, because like I said, even though at school, because even think about my school environment,
Yes.
with three Jamaicans, we're all in different faculties in different class. So I sometimes were the one in three non, only black person in a class, or maybe one or two, because one of my South African colleagues was always in class with me. So no, but it was different. I even had a class where somebody was asking me, somebody from was it Nigeria? I was so disappointed, asking me, Dana, is Jamaica in the US? I was so taken aback, because while in a social studies class in Jamaica, we have a study atlas. So you understand, some places that you never know. You know that Malaysia's capital is Kuala Lumpur, and then you've never been there, and somebody from Africa, the motherland, asking me. So of course I'm not fun taking the opportunity to pull on the atlas and say, guys, this is Jamaica and all of that. So there were moments, where I engaged with people outside of my Jamaican posse and persons who I would be familiar with, through my sheathing opportunity as well. Being a climate advocate and a climate change communicator, I had the opportunity to participate in the sheathing version of the climate COP. So COP is a conference of parties, which is really the annual climate change conference that takes place in different countries every year. So at the time, the UK was supposed to hold the next COP. So I was whisked away to Wilton Park, Sussex, with I think 18 other sheeping scholars from across the world as well, from the African region, Asia, Europe, to deliberate on climate, youth engagement recommendations, and so forth. And so that was beautiful. The Crown, for persons who are familiar with Netflix, The Crown, and some other English shows that I can't remember. A lot of top shows, Downton Abbey, I think. Wilton Park, West Sussex, is a place where a lot of some of these high profile movies are, were shot. So it was really nice. Being there just felt like I was in like an 18th century house, scared of the paintings. When I looked outside the lawn, it looked like the 100-acre woods, for persons who follow Winnie the Pooh and Pooh Bear. I'm very imaginative, so I look at that. But traveling along the English countryside, which I had the opportunity to do on my own, as well as with my other Jamaican colleagues, it does look like a storybook coming alive. So picturesque, the nose and rolls of it. So absolutely beautiful. And while you were asking about Jamaicans, I really see the parallels sometimes with, even from a non-Jamaican perspective, but just like a country town kind of parallel, where country people might tend to be more friendly than town people. People always say that. So when I was there and I didn't know which train to take, and a group of men were there pooling and having a conversation, and some taxi drivers, and they kept looking at me because I looked unsure, and he came over like, "Excuse me, ma'am, are you lost?" So I was like, it would be probably the same way as somebody from country. No disrespect to country,
Yes.
town people who are friendly, but for me, I was like, sometimes it helps you to see the kind of layers there.
Indeed. All right. Let's take a break a little and just acknowledge Suzanne. Thank you for tuning in. Dr. Lavelle, great to have you. All right. See, your friend is here,
Honey.
Dana. All
Yes,
right.
and that's one of my closest childhood friends. So a
Oh,
lot of, and that's a part of the, and now that I see her online, I want to speak to the value of community in, so even the influence of culture when your family and friends know say you go foreign and them check in upon you, so sometimes even when you're there by yourself, there's this community. So I remember a little bit before going to London, I went to New York for a climate conference, the first UN climate summit. And Annie, she's a twin. Sorry to put the business out there, but she's half of a twin. Shanique, the other twin, and drove like 4 hours into New York to come and see me.
Shanique is
Oh,
here
Shanique is
too.
there too, right? So listen. And they even so me I go to England. So all your family and friend and them I give some preparatory stuff. So my cousin Lisa and Shanique and Anik give me cold jacket. And for the entire time in the UK, me and the yellow jacket everywhere. Sometimes I'm on a double-decker bus and everybody is in black. And one day it dawned on me that Alicia is here too. Hi Alicia. So it dawned on me that I'm the only person that's not in black. And I'm saying, no wonder these people are so grumpy. They don't wear happy colors. So that also helped me, because you put on a jacket that somebody back home or that you had a personal connection gave to you. You sometimes, those are the little things that you have to pull on to feel
Connected.
supported. And so even past that, like my dad, my partner, everybody I sent up. Like I remember when COVID just hit him, I sent up Busy Tea. My father sent up Cersei. So if somebody's still coming up, they're trying to find the bush tea. And one evening I traveled for 4 hours because I got lost twice and went in the opposite direction to just get some fried fish when my father did send up, and believe me. I think that's also a very important part of what it means to maintain cultural connections, to have that communal support. COVID was an unprecedented time for everybody. I do not do well with online learning, and so it was very difficult for me to even almost close out the rest of my studies. Even towards my dissertation, that was like unprecedented for me, having to get welfare support to finish my work. I had to get extension because I just could not concentrate. And even COVID brought out the Miss Lou in me. One day I was just up and I couldn't focus. And as a Jamaican, I up and drink tea in the night. And I say, imagine, look how long I want to come a foreign. And I started speaking to myself and amusing myself. It was like 2 o'clock in the morning, and I had written a poem about Gwe Corona. So people can see that on my YouTube page as well, on Global Yadi. And I was scaring people. This girl with a tripod, talking to her phone, and I scared the rest of people because the Prime Minister at the time had let us out for like a day for exercise and to go back in. So yeah, UK people big on exercise too. So they had to have a mandatory day.
Amazing. All right. So Fusey, let's sharing some flowers here. She's very culturally aware indeed.
Dream job.
My very intelligent Jamaican queen. I hope I know you are well settled in your dream job, moreover, building and developing on your business pursuits, because it seems like you have a lot to offer towards nation building. And he wants to find out what you're doing currently.
Trying this, Mr. Peace, I really talk on my business, and I'm just, but okay. But I'll just say I am, as mentioned, I would have studied global communication and development. So just to show the alignment, I do consider myself a development communication specialist. So I do provide support. I'm a communication consultant for one of the international development organizations that focus on food security and nutrition, food and nutrition security and agriculture. So I was gonna say very happy in my job, but I'm not vexing on my job. But it's something that I like to do, development communications. Fresh out of school, I've never worked in like the corporate or commercial space, but this has been my passion. And outside of my work as a development communication practitioner, I have my podcast, Global Yadi, that spotlights conversations related to climate and environment, and through a cultural lens as well, because a lot of people don't realize that culture connected to climate. And I always say it. Think of a tree. I always say it. A tree or something natural. You know, you growing up on the beach was an important part of your life. What happens when the beach or the coastline is no longer there? And for some persons, where if a flood or a hurricane kind of disrupts a certain community in a particular way, sometimes there are adjustments. So, but it's deeper than that. But so I'm in the game of climate change awareness as well. I would like to say I wear a lot of hats, involved in community work through different volunteer initiatives, and so I've been active in my Rotaract Club. I served as a past president, and looked at projects that drove climate awareness as well as driving agriculture. And, you know, quite recently, what I'm trying to do is always have a connection with my roots. So, you know, like the average country person in Jamaica, we live at home. Because we don't really have no work back our yard. So my alma mater, Black River Primary, is dear to me. So even like up to last week, I would have done a climate creative project activity, having the students paint environment messages for their peace garden. We're going to be trying to set up with the support of the teachers. I had written for grant funding. So part of the project was the activity that I did was part of that funding, but we're looking to construct a school garden so that we can, you know, have an immersive learning experience for these kids. We're from the breadbasket parish. While not everybody may want to be a farmer, but certainly there are roles for them in the agriculture sector. And so that has been inspired from my previous and current experience working with agriculture projects and seeing farmers that, while some of them struggle, some of them are drive Range Rover, and also there are different occupations and career opportunities within the field of agriculture. So, you know, want to do my part in stimulating the kind of thought behind the possibilities that exist for the future generation.
Amazing. And you have the right minister down there to engage with.
And he's
So
my MP. So yes, I've said to him that we would want some support to have the kids ooh and ah over an exciting agriculture innovation that we can possibly bring to the school as well.
That's right. Right. I think was it no, it wasn't Black River that did that skit. Very beautiful skit that did it over I think it's sometime last week. All right. So how do you see the Jamaican diaspora influencing cultural practices here in Jamaica?
I think for me, and I had a conversation with a friend about the same question. So I think part of her influence rolls into what I'm saying. You know, where sometimes exporting a product stimulates the continuity of the cultural product. So even for me, like I said earlier, it comes off differently promoting pieces of our culture outside of Jamaica. And so that stimulates interest and the motivation to preserve and protect and continue. So when I think of a Julie Mango, you know, who's doing, you know, lovely and you know, just rewriting positive or even traumatic aspects of our cultural memory, and you have other examples. So that's just one aspect of culture, where it's through song, it's through dialect, and so it's helping that preservation. And even, you know, it gives an opportunity for some people who want to look or lean closer into culture from an academic standpoint. How do you want to study and see the relation to that? So even while I was in the UK, for me, when I studied when I did my dissertation or my thesis, it was very important for me to do something that was based in Jamaica, because I just didn't want to be another statistic doing an assignment for the sake of an assignment and not trying to push the Jamaican perspective or experience in an academic way. And that ended up with my dissertation that looked at climate change and youth responses to climate in Jamaica. That was published by my university. And so it's there on their website still, and even through some essay writings and so forth. And I love the idea of persons who are big on exchange. So for some persons who have made a name, who have built networks abroad, and they have the opportunity to leverage those connections, leverage their positions, and to support and to pump resources back into Jamaica. That's very very important. So and I think there's opportunity there. I've participated in environmental exchange programs, but certainly what the diaspora could do is look at cultural exchange programs, especially for the younger generations, who are Jamaicans by the Jamaicans, or other aspects of other countries where the diaspora exists. What about the cultural exchanges? So not just when they come on holiday and palaving on the North Coast, what are some structured ways that we can introduce these young Jamaicans to what it means to be Jamaican, and how they can see themselves supporting our critical sectors through education, through agriculture, digital transformation, climate and environment, and resilience building. The list goes on, because we're coming into the hurricane season, and it would be remiss of me not to mention, and we're normally on edge. The technology and the resources sometimes are elsewhere. How is it that we can introduce that? Because even though I'm talking about place and culture, they're interconnected, and to preserve a place is to also preserve our culture. And so there are some elements, and I could go on and on. I think there's a burgeoning or expanding entrepreneurial community. Brand Jamaica, there's a resurgence of some of the products. We know that's Mr. Excel's crackers there. When we did there England, anything when you're in Jamaica, you cannot pay a regular price for it.
That's right.
So there is this opportunity for people in the diaspora to be good gatekeepers of even Jamaican products through promotion and other opportunities. And the list goes on. The formation of cultural groups that can invite and be a bridge, for culture and connections. Those are some examples as well.
Amazing. What advice would you give to individuals and communities to help them strengthen cultural ties, both abroad and on returning home?
I think the answer is actually somewhere in the question that you asked about communities. So the formation of communities, the formation of cultural groups, I think that's very important. It's a place and a platform to pool ideas, to pool resources again, and also looking for opportunities to support. So now, while we're consuming a lot of Western or North American media content, or even from other parts of the world, we have always had a talented but struggling film industry, entertainment industry, and Jamaica has such immense soft power. Brand Jamaica, which show them never yet talk about going to Jamaica, the fake Jamaican accent and so on. Somehow there's still this gap or issue with us leveraging the full potential. And so I think it's just finding ways that we can support the media production, the cultural production of content and shows and film or whatever that's coming in from Jamaica. Excuse me. So I think those are some of the ways that we can ensure the continuity and the support. And like I said, I want to go back to the cultural exchange, because there's an opportunity to connect things. If you're exposing the younger generation on what it means to be Jamaican, or having Jamaican ties and that cultural pride, regardless of whatever sector they may be in, they may feel compelled to try to establish some sort of concrete, impactful connection when they have the resources and the capacity to do so. So you may have a filmmaker that has grown up in London or grows up in America, and now they would probably want to, through collaboration or through giving young actors an opportunity, to be on the big screen in some of these countries that we hope for. So the opportunities are endless, as I mentioned. Research and development, connecting that to the products that we have here, intellectual property. How is it that we can assign that to aspects of our cultural product? We can explore those opportunities as well.
Fantastic. And sure, we have some youth leaders, community leaders, and others who are tuned in. Here are some ideas that you can take back and explore. All right. So we have shared quite a bit about your journey, and I trust that we're able to glean some crucial points depending on what area you're operating in. But just to drive home the point, Dainalyn, key takeaway that you want the audience to leave with from all that you have shared. If they don't remember anything else, what do you want them to remember?
What do I want them to remember? That you, it's in, once you're Jamaican, it's inherent in you to be a cultural ambassador. So that is it. And just leverage the power of community. You can form a Jamaican community outside of Jamaica. Leverage the power of community and what it can do to continue, or to continue to protect and preserve our culture.
Fantastic. Okay, and Dr. Lavelle is checking for your contact.
So you can follow me, Dainalyn Swaby, across social media platforms, Instagram, X, Facebook, LinkedIn. But I would really love if you follow Global Yadi. Global, and Yadi spelled Yaadie. So, and that was inspired by the fact that I was outside of Jamaica connecting with people, across the world. So we got David Monty for inspiring the name for the podcast, Global Yadi. So you can connect with me at Global Yadi. I think it's also a good opportunity to leverage more diaspora connections. What are people doing with climate and culture? Let me know. Get on the show. Subscribe on YouTube and all the other podcast listening platforms.
All right. So just shared it there on YouTube at Global Yadi. So we can make the connection and get the conversation going. All right. So it's time for you to continue being a cultural ambassador. We have a lot going on because it is Festival Queen season.
Yes.
So give us the rundown on what's the lineup for our festival or parish shows.
All right. So I think so we would have had one coronation already, Miss Hanover. So congratulations to Sonia Samuels, who is Miss Hanover 2024. And the Birdbasket Parish will be having their coronation this Saturday, June 8th at the St. Elizabeth Technical High School. So we're looking out for the next St. Elizabethan to take the national crown, please. So we're going to ask you to come on out and support your parish queens. So let me get to the other parishes. June 8th as well, St. Thomas will be having their coronation at Colonel's Cove, Morant Bay. St. Anne is on Sunday at a Holiday Haven condo in Runaway Bay. Portland, Port Antonio High School, that's Saturday, June 15th. So sorry, I've jumped to the other week. So Saturday, June 15th for Portland. Clarendon is also on that day. Glenmuir High School. Manchester Parish, June 16 at Bel-Air High School Auditorium. Trelawney is the following Saturday. I think that's the third or fourth Saturday. Trelawney is at the Artisan Village, Water Square, Falmouth. So let me see. And St. Mary's also on that Saturday, June 22. St. Mary Anglican Church in Port Maria. Kingston and St. Andrew, Sunday, June 23. Westmoreland's coronation is also on June 23. So, but that will be at the Sean Lavery, my apologies, Faith Hall in Savannah Lamar. St. James will have their coronation on Saturday, June 29 at the Montego Bay Cultural Arts Center, Sam Sharp Square. And St. Catherine will have their coronation, I think they're the final coronation at Eltham High School grounds, Spanish Town, St. Catherine. So go on out and support your parish queens. For persons who have aspired to enter, you're not ready, go and see what the competition is all about and encourage all the women in their bid to be the next festival queen, whether at the parish level or at the national level.
That's right. And just in case you don't remember all of that, not to worry, be sure to connect with us at serenityresourceconnected.com and subscribe to receive the blog. It comes out on Monday with the highlights from this discussion. So for those of you who are just tuning in and you might not find the time to watch everything over the weekend, the highlights will be in the blog. So, and if you're not yet subscribed to the channel, go ahead and subscribe before you leave us. We are not done yet.
Yeah.
All right. All right. So you have some flowers going out, and the
Yeah,
St.
so that's a
Elizabeth
former
Massive is
queen as
in the house.
well.
Ava, way to go, Dainalyn. Always blazing a
Oh,
positive
thank you,
trail.
Ava. Yes. Big up Ava
Oh,
Thompson as well.
amazing. Oh, bless your heart, two of our best bloggers.
Oh, thank you. I wanted to.
Oh,
All right, you know what?
right.
In case you ask me, I go wait for it because it can't be a festival queen interview and you don't ask me. So I'm gonna wait and see what you have in store.
All right. So right now, I want to hear your word of advice or encouragement to those ladies who are vying for the parish crown.
Right. Thank you
And
so
have
much.
that. Yes.
Yeah, so that's while I was reading the different while I was reading the different dates and places for the coronation, something came to me. So and this may be for the woman or women that become the parish queens. Study your competition. So I remember my father insisted, get up and go to some of the coronations. So I went to my regional coronation. So I went to Manchester's coronation, I went to Clarendon's coronation so that I could understand who the other ladies were. And I don't know how many people, think so deep or incorporate that into your strategy. And that's just an element of preparedness for the competition. But also focus on the mental preparedness and the reality of the situation that while you have what it takes to win, be realistic. There's only one winner in terms of crowning. However, that does not invalidate your potential. You have the rest of your life to be amazing and to be impactful. The competition, as wonderful as it is and as amazing as an experience that it will offer you, there are other avenues for you to be impactful. So your life journey does not culminate to that single moment, but just do milk that moment for what it is worth, because it's also about inspiring other people that will come after you. So take it in strides, enjoy yourselves. It's a competition, so you have to take it seriously and put out your best effort, but do not lose yourself in the process. So that's what I have to say.
That's right. And after the parish shows, then they're going to be moving, the queens are going to be moving on to Kingston for the national show. And you had the experience of both, and you walked away with both grounds. So talk to the queens and the upcoming queens that are going to be going into Kingston for
Yes.
this year.
So I cannot talk about I cannot talk about and I'm gonna be real for a little moment too. A full circle moment. I can't talk about my experience without even, emphasizing the fact that if I didn't know that I was loved, that experience taught me that I was loved, because the village that came out for me, my friends, my family, my Hampton Old Girls Association, they were with me every step of the way, from even sewing my talent piece and my design, and even encouraging me to immerse myself in the spirit of the competition. So a lot of people may not know, and my grandmother had passed when I was in high school. So part of me, I did a market woman script because she was a market woman. She sold in the market in Black River. And part of that, me doing that, was a way of honoring my grandmother's memory. Whoa, I don't want to get emotional, because for me, it was like, Miss Merlin is not around to see me do this. But even there was a time when I felt stuck in my talent piece, and I had my Hoga colleagues who said, let's go down to Coronation Market, walk around, look at the women, involve yourself, listen to them. How so? Maybe actors call that method acting, I think, when you really throw yourself into the role. So while you may not have to do it exactly like that, I am just trying to say, find ways to really go hard and to practice and study your craft. So it's not just about the fact that, I have what it takes and people believe in me, I'm confident. You really have to put in the work. And also, like I said, while it's a competition, be genuine and really respect your colleagues and respect your fellow contestants, because I recognize that while I had what it took, I respected that there are other people who are bringing their A game and anybody else could win. So while I wanted to win, I didn't act like I was the only person. So humility is also an aspect of the game. So just focus. If you have to meditate, if you have to pray, if you have to practice, just do all of those things. And always remember, while it's a competition, I think your off stage interaction is just as important. You never know who is watching you. So it's not a matter of what the judges will score and the scorecard, or what's written. It's how you interact and engage, because you're gonna be a queen for the rest of the year and reign. So you're not gonna always be on stage, but you're required to interact. You're required to be your natural, authentic self. So I think present that always. Be yourself and allow people to embrace or even reject you for it, but at least you're being yourself.
That is so on point. Thank you for being yourself, Dainalyn.
And thank you for allowing me to be as well.
That is perfectly fine. That's how we do here, because it is a part of the uniqueness of the culture, and that's what we really want to drive home here. In this space, Culture Corner is just one of the many. Notice Ava referred to. I've never really considered myself a vlogger, but basically that's what we do really. One way of actually highlighting. So if you're here new to the space and you like what you experienced here this evening, go ahead and subscribe. Be sure to like and share the video so others can be a part of the community. We go live every Thursday at 8 p.m. So Culture Corner is just one component.
Ooh.
We do safety and security. And for those St. Elizabeth peeps, safety and security, you want to connect with us next week, because we're going to be having our quarterly Q&A with the Area 3 Police, which is Clarendon, Manchester, St. Elizabeth. And we are highlighting some community groups as we engage with the police, to emphasize the collaboration that's taking place with community groups and the police in terms of safety. And our focus for June is going to be on keeping the children safe during the summer holidays, and what activities the police and these community groups are going to be engaging in to keep our children safe throughout the holiday, right? And then on third Thursday, it's Community Corner. You never know what you'll find in Community Corners. It's health, finance, or something to uplift, empower the community. And on fourth Thursdays, we do local governance and community development. That's a partnership with the Clarendon Municipal Corporation. And if, just in case you missed fifth Thursday, we had our youth leaders in the space. That's when we allow the youth leaders across Jamaica to shine on the platform. That's their space to share. So they shared about scholarships and opportunities for our youth. So the vlogs, all of them are there. www.serenityresourceconnector.com, so you can catch the highlights. And then if you want to dig deeper, the links are there, so you can go into the different forums that we have had. So quite a bit that has happened here. We have been doing this since August 2021. So you have missed quite a bit, but don't worry, the playlists are there, organized. I'm an administrator at heart, so the playlists are organized strategically, so you can cipher through culture. If it is that you're looking to start a business and you don't know how to go about it, there's a playlist there with discussions with all the business entities in the space you can think of, from the JBDC, the Companies Office, Tax Office, NHT, JIPO with the intellectual property. Dana Lynn mentioned that earlier. So you want to check that out, and a whole lot of other information, inspiring stories. And you saw Mr. Pusey sharing here. He had the pleasure of being on one of our safety and security forums, sharing his story. Oh, he actually made the transition from Jamaica, and he's living in the diaspora and working and studying. Are you still with us, Sir Pusey? Have you finished studying? I'm trying to remember. Yes, you're still here. Are you still studying? Time is going by so quickly. Right. So let me thank you again, Dainalyn, for continuing to raise the banner high of being a true cultural ambassador, representing Dainalyn first of all, and then Jamaica, not
Thank
just
you.
local but international. We are super proud of you and so happy that you maintained your unique cultural identity, even with the challenges that you encountered. All right. Congratulations also to Sir Pusey, graduated now an associate scientist.
All right. Love that.
Right. All right. Jamaica to the world. All right, fantastic. So, for those of you who are able to join us live, thank you so much. And Dr. Lavelle, remember to connect. I will send you the link via WhatsApp for you to connect with Dainalyn and see what she's doing on her YouTube channel. You've got to subscribe, Dainalyn. All right. If no one else subscribes, I'll be subscribing. All right. Because I would need to see what's going on over there so we can cheer each other on. Thank you again for those who are watching the replay. It's a pleasure to have you here. Again, I am Winsome, and it's been a pleasure, always a pleasure facilitating these discussions. I get to meet some awesome people. All right. Have a fantastic rest of the night.